to call the City Council Urban Affairs and Housing Committee meeting to order. We have one item on our agenda. It is a communication from the mayor regarding a request that the City Council consider a proposed zoning change regarding a portion of Jefferson Street, being is herewith referred to the Urban Affairs Committee, and then it was carried over to 2022-23, and then the plan was that I would have the committee meet and we would discuss this, since it was a communication from the mayor versus someone from a resident or from the city council. Then we got notice that the buyer of the property on Lincoln and Mechanic needed to have a zoning change, so we advertised it on March 14th, referred it to the planning board. We had a public hearing on April 11th, and the planning board held their public hearing on April 25th, and so it is ready for discussion at the committee level. We did receive, and it will be in our packet for Monday's meeting to officially accept it, but we did receive the communication from the planning board with their comments. Honorable Mayor Vigent and councilors, at its regularly scheduled meeting on April 25th, 2022, the board took the following action regarding the above referenced council order. On a motion by Mr. LaVenture, seconded by Mr. Russ, the board voted to make a favorable recommendation to the City Council for the proposed zoning map amendment to Section 658, parcels of land located on Jefferson and a small portion of Lincoln Streets identified by map 56, parcels 147, 148, 150, 151, 152, and 153, and map 56, parcels 154, 155, 156, 157, and 158. The yeas were 6 yeas, the motion, or 5, the motion carried. And the board provided the following reasons in reaching its recommendation. A proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the character of the surrounding neighborhood. The proposed zoning map amendment would not be overly burdensome to the neighbors. The proposed zoning map amendment would provide the neighborhood a more cohesive piece of zoning, and the zoning amendment would benefit the city. The proposed zoning amendment would be keeping with the intent and purposes of the city zoning ordinance. And I guess I would argue some of those might not be true. It's unfortunate that no one came to the planning board meeting to speak against this. I know I had spoken at our public hearing. I decided not to speak at the planning board, so they really didn't get any sense of issues that are out there from the people that would be impacted by this. I did send out to the council committee members, and I believe it got sent around to the full council, some proposed amendments that I have that we can get to in a few minutes. I do also want to read an email that I believe we all also received from Solicitor Grossfield. I reached out to 2 members of the public who had questions at the April 11th, 2022 public hearing. In summary, the conversations covered general information already discussed by the mayor at the hearing. I did not offer any legal guidance, and neither informed me of their position on the amendment itself. So we have before us a proposed zoning change that I believe the mayor put out there because of his concerns about commercial automotive on some of the sites. The only real thing that needs to be done out of all of this is a tiny piece in the middle of the property on Lincoln and Jefferson Street that I believe everybody got a copy. Again, there is the information that was given at both public hearings by Alta. They need that rezoned so that they can do the work that they need to do. It needs to all be neighborhood business. So I'm going to just go through my remarks. As chairman, I can't make motions, so somebody else will have to either agree, disagree, make some other changes if that's what they feel wants to happen. So as I said, the only change that needs to happen is a small part of the bigger parcel 56,600 known as the rail spur. I agree with the changes from CA to RB for parcels 56, 154 through 158, as these homes, some of which are two-family and some single-family, are actually pre-existing non-conforming, as homes aren't allowed in commercial automotive, but they are in RB. So why would you take a pre-existing non-conforming home on parcel 56, 153 and keep it pre-existing non-conforming by changing it to neighborhood business, when we could just add it to the parcels we are changing to RB? And that would be my recommendation. 56, 152, and 151 are owned by the city and are used for parking at Kelleher Field in the Assabet River Rail Trail. Their only connection to the neighborhood business district is that trail, which has 3 separate zones on its path through the city. I don't think anybody's going to put an automotive use on those parcels. The other 2 properties' only connection to neighborhood business is also the Assabet River Rail Trail. Yet in the mayor's proposal, he keeps several parcels along the Assabet River Rail Trail to the west, already zoned commercial automotive, and doesn't change them to neighborhood business, so future owners would have to comply with the new zoning. Nor was it done when we did the neighborhood business rezoning. 56 150 is privately owned and houses several different businesses on the property. A gas station would need a special permit, as would an auto service facility for minor repairs, and a car wash. It could, and I stress could, become an auto sales service facility, because there hasn't been one in the past by the owners of those buildings, and there are numerous other options in the commercial automotive zoned parcel that the owners can use. The same for 56 148, which is another privately owned parcel, not on Lincoln Street, but on Hudson Street, which fits the same as 56 150, and whose owner has expressed concern about the zoning change. The final property is 56 147, which the city owns and is used for parking for Kelleher and the Assabet River Rail Trail, and in my opinion, also does not need to be changed. So I did provide everybody with a draft that would reflect the order that the mayor sent down with the changes outlined that I have, and with that, I'm going to open it up to comments from committee members first, and then to other councilors, if anybody has questions or comments.
Madam Chair.
Councilor Wagner.
My comment, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It feels like it's took something that was pretty straightforward and made it excessively complicated. And that keeping that big section, commercial automotive, concerns me with the, I'm really excited about this project that's going in over the corner of Lincoln and Mechanic, and it's my understanding, following this project, how this has been thought through to really have a positive impact on this whole area, and keeping that large swath from 56, 147, 148 down to 152, keeping that commercial automotive concerns me of how that could impact. I know the city owns 2 of them, but then why not just make them the neighborhood business? And I'm still, I mean, the 2 people that spoke, one person had had housing rentals, and the other person, according to the solicitor, there's no issue. So I'm not seeing, it feels like this is making something really complex out of something straightforward.
So if I can respond, I think the solicitor was trying to be careful. The solicitor is not legal for people looking for legal advice. He asked if they had further questions and kind of would reassure them. I have talked to the owner of 56 148. I did not actually talk to the owner of 56 150 after the public hearing, but I think specifically for the one that's on Hudson Street, with the entrance on Hudson Street next to the rail trail and with the city property beside it, was at least adamant to me that he does not want his building rezoned. And I guess to me, this goes back to the whole issue that we had before, where the rail trail was the impetus to rezone 3 separate properties along the rail trail. And it just did not make sense. So without that rail trail that connects the property on Lincoln Street and Mechanic, Why would you rezone 2 pieces of property on Hudson Street to neighborhood business? It's only because the mayor is concerned that that property would become a real commercial automotive place at the moment. So 56, 148, and 150 are both businesses. The owner of 150 did an amazing job remodeling that building and has tenants. He's had some in and out tenants. He moved his own business that was located there to further down Elm Street and has another huge facility and a beautiful piece of property there. But he does keep his property on that. It's technically Jefferson Street, but it goes along the Hudson Street border and the rail trail, and it's well maintained. And I don't think he sees any reason to rezone this either. And I don't really see the reason to rezone the city's properties. They're never going to do anything with them except have them as a parking lot. So, other question, or did you have other?
Just to clarify, neighborhood business doesn't, it's still business. It wouldn't stop the person, you said at 150?
Both 150 and 148. Some of the things they might not be able to do that they want to do, some of the things they can do in neighborhood business, but the whole, I guess I will go back to, we did neighborhood business on Lincoln Street. It was starting at, oh, I'm going to blank on what the, way at Broad Street, and went down and ended at Lincoln and, or actually at Jefferson Street. And we did that property because we knew that we wanted that piece of property specifically bought by somebody and remodeled and brought back to life. We also were hoping that owners of businesses along Lincoln Street heading west would do the same thing. So far, nothing has happened except for a buyer for the property that wants to build apartments and business. Councilor Navin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think I share some of the same questions that Councilor Wagner has on this. I think I understand the mayor's intention here to rezone some of this on Jefferson Street, and I have not had any conversations other than what I heard at the public hearing from the owners of 56-150 and I believe 56-148. I totally agree with you. He has at 56-150. The property is beautiful, and I would like to see it remain that way. And I am sure the person who owns it does as well. My understanding is that the uses that he currently has in there will be grandfathered in, and I know he has some questions about that. That is correct. Similar businesses to what he has will be allowed to go in if this rezoning goes forward.
If this is rezoned, I believe anything that's in there now would be allowed, but if anybody moved out and somebody else moved in, it would only be things allowed in the neighborhood business, which are, if you look at the zoning code, some stuff is allowed in commercial automotive that isn't in neighborhood business and vice versa. So I think everything that he's had in there could probably, but I don't know what somebody would want to put in the future.
Sure. And I think the businesses that he has in there now fit well in what is really a neighborhood setting, in my opinion, and is kind of continuing to grow into a neighborhood setting. One of the things that concerns me is that it doesn't turn into, it's like one of my pet peeves is if you're driving on South Bolton Street, if you're driving north on South Bolton Street into the city and Route 85 is just, it looks like an auto mall, and it's fine because that's what it's zoned for, but it could use a little sprucing up, and some of the special permits that we've approved have required people to do so, and some do and some don't. I personally don't want to see, just because something hasn't been done and is unlikely, we don't know where the property availability is in the city moving forward. I would hate to see all of a sudden just not to do it, and then all of a sudden we've got something else. So I'm not sure I see the reason for this entire amendment. I've not talked to the property owner on Hudson Street itself, if that was something that people wanted to look into, but I do think that keeping Jefferson Street as proposed does make some sense, especially if the businesses that are currently allowed to rent there will be grandfathered in. I certainly don't want to make it difficult for that building to continue being rented, that's a different problem. But I do think that if we can help facilitate that neighborhood to continue to grow, I think we would be doing that entire section of the city a favor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And it's unfortunate, I know I did tell the owners that they would not be able to speak tonight, and I urged them to contact all of the city council because they didn't feel like their voice was heard really at the meeting, and then they didn't know that there would be the planning board meeting. So it's unfortunate when we have these kinds of things before us, and the planning board, the only way the residents know is if they read the legal ads. There's no notice to neighbors. Fortunately, they read the legal ad and saw at least the city council meeting. So they, I guess, for me especially, and I know I will put out there, when this order first came out, I very quickly pulled out the GIS and I measured from where my house is to 56-147 to make sure that I could actually be here. And I am not within the boundaries, but I certainly am within the neighborhood, either driving or walking through this. And I would, if I was a business owner and had asked to not have my property rezoned, I would hope that the council would listen.
Madam Chair, may I follow up with just on that comment?
Yes.
So, a question on your comments from earlier. The business owner from 146 has made that request, or both businesses have made that request?
148.
Sorry, 148. Maybe it's time to get those readers after all.
I know, and I, as I said, my husband was laughing at me, are you coloring? That's like, because I don't have the skills required to do what the mayor had, whoever did his map. I just went on the GIS and made it large enough to see the whole thing and printed it out and colored, so.
Thank you for that
I
clarification.
think I saw his hand, and then I will get back to you, Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I think there's general consensus that the spur of the rail trail definitely is going to get converted, so you guys don't have any, you ladies don't have anything to worry about, so that's all good. You know, you said that you don't see why it's going down. I see that this section of commercial automotive, if you look at the full zoning map, it's an abnormality, probably based upon when the rail was actually working, because it's just at the end of the train system, really. Because commercial automotive, you'd expect to be closer to where the traffic is nowadays, and that would be 85 or something like that. So I can't imagine someone opening up an auto repair store or something like that in this type of neighborhood, because it's so hard to get a car into this neighborhood. You know, that's why 85 makes a lot more sense or something. So, you know, I think that the reason why the mayor did the proposal is basically to reduce the amount of this artifact of zoning to something, and do it in such a way that it kind of slowly phases it out. Having said that, if the building owners don't want it, I'm not going to support changing it for those, you know, for those properties. I think that that's an important part of this, because I don't think zoning should be forced onto someone. We can always go back and change it later. But as far as the, any of the town properties, you know, if they get changed, if it makes sense to have them change to keep continuity in the, you know, the positions of the lots, then those should be changed. If it makes sense to, because it would look kind of rugged, you know, should we use the term gerrymandering or something? I don't think that that makes sense to do those. So, you know, if 56-150 and 56-148 are going to remain commercial automotive, then 56-147 should remain commercial automotive, just to keep it more contiguous, as an example. But I think that overall, I don't have any issue in, you know, extending the change a little bit more to make it more consistent with its use. So, thank you.
And I guess I would point out the parcels that are remaining commercial automotive are literally across the rail trail from those the mayor's asking to change. Yet he's not asking to change the existing, and there are, if you drive down Longley Street and down Manning Street, you can run right into existing commercial automotive facilities working today. Councilor Landers.
Madam Chair, I just have the feeling that, just to the street you just mentioned, Mechanic and Manning and so forth, you know, people have the idea that that is an automotive section. And I'll bet you there's probably 6 or 7 mechanics down there on Manning Street. I haven't been down there for a while. But that wasn't my original point. I've had the conversation with the owner at 148, and a couple of conversations. And I see his concern that he feels if the zoning is changed, that land would be worth a lot less. Well, I kind of went the other way, and I said, you know, quite honestly, that land could be worth more. I mean, eventually, any parcel of land close or next to the rail trail, you know, I think would have more value. I'm not sure what could go there, whether we could ever allow, you know, an ice cream stand or a bicycle shop or something like that. So, and I think that particular owner, you know, he's not going to be affected by it, only if it's time for him to retire, get out of the business he's in, and sell the property. So I can't be assured, and that's, you know, I'm not going to base my decision on that, whether that land will be worth more or less. If I was a betting man, I'd say it'd be worth more. So. But I think this is our opportunity to take that area and rezone it, do what we want, what we can see in the future there. That's all, Madam Chair.
Councilor Ossing?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, contrary to what you may read in the press or hear in the streets, the mayor and I do work collaboratively still on projects.
You sure?
All right? Just trust me on this, okay? And this is one of them, all right? We approached it a little differently, but, you know, we came to the same general conclusion. When we first started talking about it, I went back to when Councilor Irish and I proposed a neighborhood business district for the Lincoln Street to Broad Street. And we did that with the intention of trying to enhance, as Councilor Lander was saying, the actual potential gain for people that own residences or property in those areas to expand their potential uses. My concern with going after changing it to neighborhood business was in commercial automotive, you're allowed contractor yards and landscape yards. And that's what I don't want to have on those parcels, all right? So when I look at what you've proposed, and God bless you, Councilor Roby, you did a great job with all the research. Thank you very much. I'm actually okay with the changing to RB 153. I mean, that's, to me, that's in line. But I'm really concerned that I want to keep the whole rail trail spur neighborhood business as well as the properties on the other side. So you say, what difference does it make? The city owns the lots, they may never change. I agree with you. But if they were to change, like say we have a new mayor and they do something with the property, I don't know. But having it neighborhood business district versus commercial automotive allows a lot more valuable uses, I guess, for the property. As far as what I call the 3 parcels down, I got 150, 147, 148. I really think going from commercial to neighborhood business helps them, doesn't hinder them, unless they wanted to turn their properties into contractor yards or landscape contractor yards. So my premise was twofold. One, get that rail spur in the Lincoln Mechanic Street project to neighborhood business. And 2, to disallow contractor yards if it's commercial automotive. That's why I thought changing the commercial automotive to neighborhood business would be an appropriate use. I mean, those were my thoughts on it. But your comment, Councilor Roby, to change 153 to RB, I mean, that's kind of in line. The planning board did, again, sometimes we agree with the planning board, sometimes we don't. They seem to think the changes were in harmony with what the zoning ordinance calls for. So I would support as presented, and if you want to make that exception to change that 153 to RB, I'm okay with that, Councilor Roby. That works. I'm okay with it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. As I said, I can't make any motions, but I guess I will point out, because I think that's why 153 stuck out for me, especially knowing that the planning board has a A&R to divide that property. To me, it is currently a non-conforming, illegal contractor storage yard or a landscape storage yard. I believe it's landscape storage yard, with nobody doing anything about it, and he wants to make it permanent. But before he could do that, if it stayed commercial automotive, he would need to come to this body for a special permit, which we can deny, especially in the middle of the neighborhood that it's in, which we could also deny for 150 and 148, especially where they are in the neighborhood. So the threat of a commercial automotive may become a contractor or landscape storage yard is one that I think we have the power to stop because it's a special permit. But, Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening. Exactly what President Ossing had said. I know we met a few summers ago working on that rezoning. You kind of learn a lot from MAPC, and cohesiveness was the main subject of how things fit in a neighborhood. So I'm perfectly fine the way this is presented as submitted. I did read, the owner of 56-148 did reach out to me, and I met him as well as here. I fully understand where he's coming from. I would compromise if the committee did not want to include that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But going on what Councilor Landers said, going down the line, it actually may benefit him. That's not up to me. But I do see where Councilor Landers is coming from on that. The thing of it is, if it did for some reason have some commercial automotive there, it's going to be known that that parking lot is owned by the city and they wouldn't be able to do it. But other than that, you did a wonderful job on this. But in zoning, part of the Lincoln Street is to revitalize the area. It goes further than that, and having the zone fit into your neighborhood, so you're looking at the future, what's going to be sitting there. So I'm perfectly fine as submitted, except for that one, but that's up to the committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, then I guess I will throw out there again, as I said, as someone who lives in the neighborhood, if it's rezoned neighborhood business, what I foresee happening on Lincoln Street with turning in some of that into multifamily and the mixed use, I don't want that happening on 148, on a street that is residential except for that property. So you change it to neighborhood business, you might as well change the rest of the rail spur all the way down that is currently, I think, A3. Did I see a hand over here? Councilor Wagner?
I mean, thinking about what you said, I hear what you're saying, but it's also along the rail trail, it doesn't have to be entirely uniform. It can be, that's part of the appeal to it, to pull off and go to a business that doesn't have to be business, 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 or home, home, home. It can be mixed, and this again makes sense to me to not, the commercial automotive makes me very concerned, and particularly we're finally investing, and there's a lot of potential that's going to happen in this part of Marlborough, and so leaving this whole section commercial automotive and open to the type of businesses that can go in are just, they don't, it doesn't fit to me. So, I mean, I don't know if we still need discussion. I want to understand, because you mentioned that we need a motion, so it sounds, I just want to clarify, there's 2 potential 3 votes that have to happen, if I'm not mistaken. The first motion should be about the amendment, and then the second vote should be for as submitted, and then potentially a proposed amendment about 148? Or 153 to do something different?
You can take the mayor's original zoning and move to approve that. If that is your preference, you could take the mayor's original and propose the changes that I have. You could take my proposed changes, I guess what I'm hearing from everybody is to take the mayor's original and make the one change to 153 and leave everything else as is. So,
Well, I guess, I mean, I don't know, I just wanted to get a feel for the rest of the committee, because I would like to propose a vote on as submitted, but if it's, I don't want to see it voted down because, I guess, I want to follow the procedure. If there was a concern about one parcel, I don't want to see the whole thing fail. Do we need to talk about an amendment first?
So, Madam Chair, just a point of order.
yes,
So, Council Roby, Council Wagner, you're allowed to make a motion. Let's just say you make the motion to approve as submitted by the mayor. So should it not pass, say it fails 3-2, then someone makes the next motion, because you've got to send something out of committee. So then it'd have to be a motion to deny, or not do it, or amend it to something, but you're allowed to make a motion, and if it doesn't pass the motion, it's still in the hands of the committee, because the committee hasn't decided anything. They just didn't didn't approve that particular vote.
Okay.
So this is a teaching opportunity for everyone, right? You're allowed to make a motion, and if it doesn't work, so I'll use an example, a recent one. The bond for $1 million for the water project, it did not pass 1-4. It's still in committee, because the committee didn't then say motion to deny, and then you deny it in favor of denying one. They made a motion, but the motion didn't carry, so now the committee's got to say and do something. So as a committee, you guys got to do something. So I always
Right.
encourage you guys,
Well,
what do you want to do?
I get that. I was just trying to clarify when there's amendments on the table, what order, the process that you take things in order.
So there's no amendment, no one's made any, there's no motion, so there's no amendments on anything right now. So once you make a motion,
Okay.
someone can then make an amendment to your motion to say, I want to change this or that. But someone's got to make a motion first to do something.
All right, then, Madam Chair, I move that the zoning change is accepted as originally presented by the mayor.
So now the process is someone seconds it or not. If no one seconds it, it dies.
I'll second that.
all right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the zoning changes as submitted by the mayor. Is there discussion?
Madam Chair? Oh, actually,
Sorry, I was looking that way. So
That's
Councilor
fine.
Navin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My preference would be to move 153 into RB to address some of the concerns that were heard earlier. This is a motion that's a lot closer to what I was thinking, but I will probably vote no on this one, but I will be making, if it does not pass, I will be making a subsequent motion to take Councilor Roby's comments on parcel 153 to include it. So which would,
So again, if I can, Madam Chair, so again, as a
Can I not say
teaching
that?
moment, you're allowed to make, you can now say you'd like to amend the motion by Council Wagner to do whatever you want, you want to
Yeah,
say,
no.
153. So
Right.
And then the committee decides, do they want to accept the amendment? If they accept the amendment, you're good, but then you're back to Councilor Wagner's order that says, as submitted by the mayor with the amendment.
right. No,
Assuming-
I was just trying to be respectful to her.
No, you
Yeah.
gotta get the votes. This isn't respectful, this is process.
No.
So it's a good teaching moment for everyone right now.
I just wanted to give them a chance to have it clean up and down on that one, but fair point, Mr. President.
Thank you.
yeah, the point not to be a clean one, but to be amended as the process goes, so.
Councilor Doucette? Or
Thank you very
unless
much,
did
Madam Chair.
you-
I would second Councilor Navin's amendment, but also I would take 56-148, 56-147, and 56-150 to remain those in CA, but the other two to remain as the mayor proposes.
I'm
did
sorry,
not.
did I hear, you, I
You
didn't?
did not hear a motion from me
Okay, so you
yet,
did not,
but
Oh,
I will not,
I-
you did not, and that's fine, and you can make that motion if you want. I
Okay.
will not be joining that, so,
Okay.
I think we're
so
gonna
we
learn a lot.
have,
This is
we have
good.
a motion
Okay.
to approve the mayor's as submitted. There have
Okay,
been
so
no,
I have a point of order question, right?
Councilor Doucette?
Yes. If we vote on it strictly as the mayor's proposal is, can we amend it before the vote, or should we go to the vote and then amend it afterwards if it fails?
If you want to amend it before we vote would be the time to do it. If you don't want this to happen as a total and you want to have the vote go and not carry and then make a motion to amend somehow, it's up to you.
Okay,
So,
okay.
Madam Chair, if I
That's-
could.
I
So-
mean, again, the teaching.
That's okay, no, this is good, this is good for all of you. So, the motion that's before the Urban Affairs Committee has been made and seconded to approve what the mayor submitted. So now you're in the discussion stage. So when you're done discussing it, if there's no amendments, you then vote on it, all right? If there's an amendment to what's presented, you know, add this parcel, delete this parcel, whatever, you can do that. Now, I'm gonna fast forward, just assume you approve what the mayor submitted, and now it's in the hands of the council, the chair makes the report, sits on the table for 2 weeks, it's in the hands of the council. You can then make an amendment when it's before the council to change it again, right? But
At the floor of the
you can do it then as well. It's usually convenient to do the work in the subcommittees, because it gets a little, you know, more challenging during council meetings, but it's nothing we haven't done before, it's okay.
I
But
believe the
That's
phrase is
unless-
hurting more kittens.
as Urban Affair Committee members, you have before you right now a motion to approve what's submitted by the mayor. It's in discussion. You can amend it, or you can call for a vote on it. I mean, that's, the chair will direct that level of engagement.
Right. And I would also just remind people that if they're not on Urban Affairs and you want to make the motion to amend, the time to do it would be at the council meeting when it's before the full council. So did I see a hand somewhere?
He did make an amendment.
I did not.
He did not make an amendment. Nope, what is before us is the mayor's order as submitted.
And that was
So then
second- that was
I'll make
seconded- That was seconded by me, yes.
Right. Then I will make the motion to take 56-153 and add it, and amend the mayor's order to put that to CA to RB. Because if you're not, Sean, I will.
I'm sorry, will you repeat again? You're just doing the one parcel, 56-153?
56-153 from the proposal to be NB to RB.
Okay, because you had a whole other,
Yeah, because I thought he was going forward with that, so I was just going to add a couple more. but
you
I'll
could
st-
go
I'll
for it
stop
if you
at that.
want.
Madam
Right.
Chair,
No,
so-
I'll just
Sorry.
I want to just do one at a time, that's
Okay.
all.
So, again, procedurally, Madam Chair, as you know, Council Doucette has made a motion to amend, someone has to second it. If no one seconds the motion to amend, that's now done, and now we're back to the motion that's been made by Councilor Wagner and seconded by Councilor Landers to approve what's submitted by the mayor.
Correct.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Well,
Madam Chair.
Yes?
So to be clear, Councilor Doucette's amendment is a furthering amendment of Councilor Wagner's, and it's only for 153 to move into RB, not the ones that you mentioned just a couple of minutes ago that you
Correct.
wanted to take out.
Correct.
Correct.
Because I
He's-
see them as different conversations, but also hers isn't an amendment as much as she's just motioned to approve the mayor's proposal
So,
as
right,
submitted.
I understand. So to be
And
clear,
so this is an amendment to that order.
after that, if your amendment is seconded,
Mm-hmm.
the motion on the floor will be to approve the order.
No, the motion on the floor will be to approve the
Amendment.
amendment, and then we approve the amended order.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
If somebody else amends further, then we take them one at a time,
thank you.
which is why
I will
sometimes-
second the amendment to move 153 into RB.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to amend the mayor's order and change the property 153 from commercial automotive to RB. Is everybody clear on his amendment? All those in favor of the amendment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so that carries. Now, we will go back to the mayor's order as amended.
Madam Chair?
Counselor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Per the discussion and the concerns of the landowners, I think removing 56-148, 56-147, and 56-150 from, and remaining as CA. I'd like to propose that as a change.
I'm going to second that as the chair. Is there discussion or clarification? Councilor Landers, you look,
Well, what were the two lot numbers?
Three.
there were three. 150, which is the Antico property, 158, which is the property on Hudson,
148.
148, sorry, 56-148, property on Hudson Street, and 56-147, the city-owned property on Hudson Street. His motion was to have them remain commercial automotive.
Yes.
Is there discussion?
One other, just to clarify also, the rail trail would go to, is that Mechanic Street? Whatever street that is. It wouldn't continue going up the spur. It would just end at that street, whatever street name. That's Hudson Street, I'm sorry. Should have known that.
So
Because it looks like the rail trail, part of the rail trail gets included too. I'm
the
just-
rail trail goes across Hudson Street and
Right.
continues down. It is different zoning once it crosses Hudson Street, I believe. I had,
Well, according to this, it's almost as if half of it's,
half of it is, half of it, the rail trail's divided where the zoning on either side is different.
right, right. So that part of the rail trail would also not change and remain commercial automotive on the other side of Hudson Street.
Madam Chair.
Counselor Armstrong.
So again, if you go to the mayor's order now, not the picture, the actual order. Item B, Bravo, city assessor map, 56 parcels, and your motion is to eliminate 147, 48, and 50,
Okay.
all right?
And there's no
But it
reference to the
says-
rail trail.
Hang
Okay,
on, hang
yeah.
on. And it says, "In the land within the rail trail corridor, including the former rail spur." So this pink part next to 150, 150 here,
Yeah,
this part that you can't see me writing, but
Or the blue part that goes down the middle of Jefferson and Mechanic, or down the middle between CA and what the mayor wants to, that's the whole rail trail. That's currently,
Right.
it's actually labeled 56,600,
600, yeah.
but it
Well, that-
doesn't exist for what the information is. But
Madam Chair, if I could, so, but that's we'll let the city solicitor, but if you can take the mayor's diagram, the parcel adjacent to 150, if Councilor Doucette's order is, or amendment is approved, that portion of the rail trail adjacent to 150, again, my opinion, solicitor's got to approve it, would then stay
Remain CA.
commercial automotive. The other part is going to be all NB.
And I think I would agree, based on the map going down the rest of the rail trail, it's split,
yep.
depending on how it's zoned on either side. Council Wagner, so
Thank you. On that proposed amendment, I don't agree with it. Again, I'm concerned about, I think, I would like to remind us that this is not something that was done spontaneously, that a lot of thought was put into this project with MEDC's input. Unless I'm mistaken, my understanding is that this project is very significant to this area, and I, again, do not support the commercial automotive is potentially just it doesn't fit with the vision, and this is an investment in this community, and I don't support those proposed amendment to keep those properties commercial automotive.
And I guess I would argue this MEDC has nothing to do with what the mayor chose to rezone. MEDC only cares about the teeny tiny little portion of the rail spur that's on their property that they want to have sold, and they have a buyer.
Well,
As was pointed out with what Attorney Falk stated and showed, and I think you all got a copy again, he outlined that property and very clearly delineated what they want rezoned.
Yeah, So, Madam Chair, just to be clear, it's not MEDC is us, all right? I mean, so it's not what MEDC wants. you know, they bought the land, we're gonna get whatever the value is and change when this proceeds go through. So MEDC is us. We shouldn't be saying it's them, that's not a them, it's us.
Well, I guess I would argue that that's not necessarily true. But
Okay.
Counselor Landers?
Quite honestly, I will not support, I can't see any value in keeping automotive in that area at all.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment to keep parcels 56-148, 56-147, and 56-150 as commercial automotive? All those in favor? All right, so that did not carry. That was, well, I guess all those opposed. I know what the count is by doing the math, but I will, Councilor Wagner opposed. Oh, I have to make it official.
I'll put two hands up.
So, Madam Chair, again, as a teaching moment, so that particular amendment offered by Councilor Doucette was in the hands of Urban Affairs. Urban Affairs has now disposed of that amendment, right? You've handled, no, it didn't pass muster, so now you are back to the order made by Councilor Wagner, amended by Councilor Doucette.
Doucette.
Second by me.
So that's what's before the Urban Affairs Committee right now. All right, I'm just trying to,
Yep. that-
yeah, so everybody's on the same
See
page.
if there's anybody
Just trying to walk through all the
else
issues, that's all.
making any further amendments. Seeing none. All those in favor of the mayor's order as amended by adding in, or changing 56-153 commercial automotive to RB? More discussion. Councilor Doucette.
No, I thought you were asking for a vote.
Oh, we still got to do it, one more chance to discuss. All right, seeing none, all those in favor? So one,
Laura?
So this would make this in the, residential
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
I thought we were still on.
Okay.
Oh, my, this is
Wait a
hurting
minute.
my brain. All right, got it.
5-0. All right, so
There.
that gets us a final order that we can report out at the meeting on Monday. My preference is to just let this lay on the table. I don't think it matters at that point and can be then voted on at the next
Is there a rush to
meeting.
get this done?
I'm sorry?
Is there a rush to get
There's
this done?
still a whole there's a public hearing on Monday for the property, plus a public hearing on another zoning change. That can't happen until those steps go through, so
Yep, okay,
why rush this one through when we've still got one more to go?
that's fine. Okay, so thank you for the clarification.
Councilor
One last
Hudson?
one. So there will be a quiz on what you've learned tonight. so nice job, Madam Chair.
All right, I do not believe we have any other business. If
Motion
there's-
to adjourn.
Motion, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are adjourned at 7:48. I love that clock.